I begin with a fable from the ancient storyteller Aesop. We've all heard of Aesop's fables. He wrote this one around 500 BC, and he gives us wisdom just as timely now as it was then. A thirsty deer went down to a pool to get a drink. As he bent over the surface, he saw his own reflection in the water and was struck with admiration for his fine, spreading antlers. But at the same time, he felt nothing but disgust for the weakness and the slenderness of his legs. While he stood there looking at himself, he was seen and attacked by a lion. In the chase that followed, he soon drew away from his pursuer and kept his lead, as long as the ground over which he ran was open and free of trees. But coming presently to a wood, he was caught by his antlers in the branches and fell victim to the teeth and the claws of his enemy. "Woe is me," he cried out with his last breath. "I despise my legs, which might have saved my life, but I gloried in my horns, and they have proven my ruin." The moral of this fable is, what is worth most is often valued least. Now that's true wisdom. For those who would play on Saturday or Sunday rather than worship with us, this wisdom is very apropos. It's also food for thought for those of us here in this church right now, but whose minds might be elsewhere. I tell this fable because today we hear in our first reading from Proverbs a very appealing invitation from the woman called Wisdom. Now, who wouldn't want to visit Wisdom's house, to go where she lives and to stay a long time, to linger at her table and to listen to what she has to say to us? This is wisdom, and not her brother, stupidity. I'd wager that many of us, most of us, have sat at stupidity's table more than we'd like to admit. Stupidity, well, he serves foolishness and misunderstanding at his table. He serves prejudice and selfishness, and that's the main course, with racism as dessert. Not wisdom. She has dressed her meat, mixed her wine, and cries out to us, "Come eat of my food and drink the wine I have mixed." She seems to cry out, "Manja." How often have we visited Wisdom's house and heard this? But first, we must ask, where is this house? We Catholics believe it's in our churches, and of course, right here in this church. We call Christ the King, where we worship our God, who is love. And what is this food and drink we find in this house we call Wisdom? What is it that we taste and see, as sung by a choir and all of us? Our gospel reading from John tries to explain. John has Jesus say, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. For my flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in him." What does this passage mean for us? What wisdom do we gain from John? Simply put, like Jesus, we are to be living bread for others, to nourish them, meaning to heal them through our love, through our compassion, and our willingness to forgive. As the body of Christ, we are also supposed to be Christ's life-giving blood. Our blood is life. Of course, that's why we give blood as a donation. Blood is life. We've all heard the expression, blood, sweat, and tears. Well, it's from Luke, and made famous by Winston Churchill, who warned of the hardships the British would suffer in World War II. He said, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat." The expression now means hard work and effort in difficult circumstances. So to be Christ's life-giving blood, we are to do the hard work and we are to make the effort to help others get through the difficult times of their lives. Be the blood of those still suffering from the loss of a loved one, especially a young person, such as Lauren Falone, who we remember today on the 4th anniversary of her tragic death on the Mashpee Road. Be the blood for someone remembering a long-departed loved one, such as Virginia Hoy. Be the blood for the addict struggling to kick into addiction. Be the blood for a pregnant teenager. Be the blood for someone who is gay and feels abandoned, for someone who is bullied, for those who are battered and beaten, for the poor among us. I began with a fable about a deer and its antlers. Its moral was, what is worth most is often valued least. Let's all think about what we appear to value the least because we're focused on something or someone else we think is more important. It might be a relationship that has weakened or eroded. It might be a marriage or a friendship in jeopardy. It might be a son or daughter relationship with parents that's full of tension and arguments. It might be a strained relationship with God. Let's not be like the deer, focused on fine and spreading antlers. Let's turn our attention to what is valued most. What might appear at first to be weak and slender legs, but in reality it's our salvation. It's our God. It's Jesus Christ. It's our family, our friends, and our loved ones. These are the legs that keep us running fast and away from sharp teeth and long claws.